Dating is hard. It's hard enough trying to find somebody to go out on dates with. And then you're supposed to be able to spot the red flags like early on in the relationship.
Jared, pay attention.
I am. I'm taking notes.
Maybe this might be helpful.
I'm
We'll
taking
see.
notes.
Yes.
I like stuff like this.
Yeah. Well, according to a dating coach, there are 5 really early red flags that if you see these, you should not ever say, well, maybe it's not that bad.
All right, I'm going to pretend this is before Carol.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Suspend reality.
Sure. By the way, this is a professional dating coach, and he does talk about it in the form of he, but he says in the very beginning, it's some edited audio just so you know, he does say in the very beginning, I'm going to use that terminology, but it can be for both men and women in dating.
I got you.
Number 1, they will tell you secrets about their life that will make you feel pity for them early on. People who have been through genuine hard times in their life very rarely share that with people who they just met. Most of the time they will do to see how you emotionally respond to them, and if they get the reaction that they are looking for, then they will think that you are easy to manipulate.
This is known as trauma dumping.
Trauma dumping.
I didn't understand everything he said.
Okay, so he says basically when you are on you're in the very beginning stages of the relationship, right? When somebody immediately tells you all of their problems and all of the things that they've endured, it's a really big red flag.
So if they tell you the secrets about their life, okay. No secrets were told. I was kept a secret, but no secrets were told.
You
so
were
that's
kept
a plus.
secret.
What was the secret?
Well, no, the secret was that she had a kid.
Oh, that's not a red flag at all.
Well, not according to this guy, it's not.
Yeah, I mean,
He said
that's different.
It's tricky.
It would be Carol would be the one telling me like I have a kid and my now parents are this or my housing. I have this.
No, I think that's different. I think she could say I have a kid and not go into all the trauma
other,
about
yeah.
it.
But this guy didn't talk about that.
Because I don't think that having a kid is a trauma. You know what I mean? Like,
Matt, can you help us out? Here?
This dude's made one point. Jason's like, we never said this, so this is fine.
I mean, obviously, if you go on a date and someone has children and they don't tell you they have children,
Right.
or that they used to be married, or that's a red flag.
I think those are things you should know.
You might think it's a red flag and others might, but according to what I'm listening at right here of what Katie's 5 red flags, this hasn't been mentioned
Okay,
yet.
first of all, not my red flag. Second of all, I think that is a big life event that I might not want to date somebody who has children. So if I go out on a date with you and I don't know, and then you tell me that you did, I don't want to be on a date with you.
Again, this segment is his 5 red flags, and it was just about her telling your life.
I think the first one, the main gist behind it was that they're trauma dumping to emotionally manipulate you.
Yes,
correct.
yes.
And so in a way, not mentioning things such as a child might be a form of manipulation because if I tell you, you might not like me.
Exactly.
So I'm
True,
going
but
to
it's
manipulate.
Square. Wow, that's the smartest thing you've ever
Yes,
said.
but it's also
not.
kind of, it's lying by omission, and it makes me not know who I'm on a date with. I'm getting to know you, but that is a big thing.
Because that's a big part of your life.
what
She's
saying.
she's
Like,
actually doing the exact opposite of what this guy is saying.
Who
It's
is?
still manipulation.
Oh.
Because she's saying you release everything. She didn't say anything about keeping it all inside.
So,
yet.
Jason, let's say you go on a date, you don't tell the person that you're married, for example.
Yes.
Is that not a red flag?
It depends.
That's her. You lost me.
It just depends.
Yeah,
Now,
that
I
is
will
my
say
hard
this,
line.
and this has always been interesting to me
Yeah.
because dating as someone who's been divorced twice, Jason.
Oh, he said it first.
Twice, but then also have kids. And you go out with people who have kids. It is, because when you're before any of this, you go on dates. You don't talk about any of that. You're talking about everything but that. But you almost have to give them a baseline of like why you're in your situation. I have 3 kids. I got divorced, and you try to avoid talking about why.
Okay.
But eventually, I've been on first dates, and they're telling me every reason why, and it doesn't really bother me.
Maybe you just
But
leave
they're
it.
not trying to be like, oh,
Yeah.
I feel sorry for them. They're just like, yeah, this sucked, but this is why I'm here now, and I'm glad I'm out. And, they
Yeah, I
kinda
think there's-
they're trying to give you they're trying to set a baseline because it is so complicated when you have kids and have been married
and
before.
have been
And
married.
I think it depends on the age. But if I were younger, like Carol's age, 20, 21, and I was single at the time,
Yeah.
and I had certain things, and I still did this before, I would definitely not probably right away tell any hot girl that I had a kid yet to get her to like me first and then bring
Manipulation.
it on.
Right.
Yes.
100%.
Got it.
No, and I get it.
Especially at that age.
I get why people do it, but
Yeah.
And it feels like, to me, this guy's almost saying they're making a bigger deal about some of their trauma than it really needs to be to see how manipulative they can be
Yes.
with you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So then you feel like sorry for them. Yeah, that's not
So
good.
they're almost overblowing the trauma they have been through.
Yes,
Right.
because he's right. You know, if there's been major trauma, a lot of people hold that close to their chest for a long time because it's very difficult to talk about.
Right,
And you
right.
have to know, I can trust this person. We're in a safe space. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's true.
you-
Because I'm like a red flag. Like you just tell everyone all your stuff all
Yeah,
the time.
most people
that you're-
don't.
That you don't have close relationships with.
Right.
I
Most
can
people
see
don't.
that.
All right. So that was the very first red flag. And these are the 5 early red flags that if you see them, you better not ignore them because it's only going to lead to bigger issues down the road. This is red flag number 2.
Number 2, he's just met you and he's talking bad about his ex to you. It's a red flag if he calls his ex crazy, blaming his ex for everything, or oversharing their relationship with you and he's only just met you. It shows that he's socially unaware because he should know that you don't want to talk about his ex when you just met him.
I've definitely done that. I mean, not talk bad, but it's like, again, you're giving the information like, yes, I'm divorced. And then you shouldn't go and trash, but sometimes they ask and you're like, well, I don't want to get into it. Or I have definitely said, I don't want to talk about like what happened, but I just want you to know that I'm divorced. Obviously, it's something, there was enough that we're not married.
Yeah, and I would take that if somebody said to me, and I have was on dates with people who had been divorced, I left it there.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
then I have to decide if I like you enough to want to go out
Right.
with you again, and then we'll get into it. I don't need all of that on a first or second
No, you
date.
don't. You
I
don't.
do not.
Sometimes it's not even divorce. It may be just about
A breakup or- sure.
Oh,
ex-girlfriend.
sure.
But it's funny because that is like a hot topic of conversation, and people seem to be into it sometimes when you're talking about it. I guess the red flag is that if you guys broke up, he's gonna talk crap about you too. But
True.
I mean, I always hear it comes up all the time, and it's like an interesting conversation about exes.
It's one thing if you're going to bring it up and ask the person about their ex. It's another if they're just finding a way to bring it up in
That's
casual
true.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's true. All right. What's the third red flag?
Red flag number 3.
Number 3, he's indecisive. You'll be the one planning all the dates, and you'll be the one making all the big decisions in the relationship because that person can't make their mind up about anything. It will get exhausting for you.
Isn't that called being a woman?
No.
Being indecisive?
No.
When it comes to dating, what restaurant you want to go to? I don't know.
Well,
And then-
that's later
Whatever
on.
you
Oh, that's
want.
later.
That's later in life. This is like early
they don't make it-
red
it's-
flags.
It's hard to make plans with them.
And
That's
I
true.
don't
That's
want to
true.
hear the excuse, I just don't care. Well, you know what? Then you don't care about trying to impress me or be with me or have a good time. I don't buy the I don't care. Like one time I remember Matt said, you said, I don't care about the napkins or whatever.
Placemat.
Placemats. That's a different thing. You guys are married. You know that she's going to buy the placemats no matter what.
Yeah.
If we're on a second date and we're talking about where we're going, he's like, yeah, I just don't, I don't really care. That is a big
Well,
red
what
flag.
about if he says like wherever you want to go, I'm cool with? Because some people tend to be a lot more flexible than
Yeah.
others, and he's really, in my eyes, he's just wants you to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we don't give any credit when a guy says like, no, whatever you want, because he won't make the decision. But he's really doing that because he wants you to be happy.
There are different ways of, you
Yeah.
know, we always say delivery
Yeah.
matters.
It does.
I think if you said to someone, hey, Friday night, I really like to take you to XYZ, there's something really hot about
Yeah,
that.
that's confidence.
Yes.
But there's people bash people when they like whatever you want. It's because the ultimate most of the time they just want you to be happy. It's not like
On a
they-
first
Right.
or second date,
But
though?
on a first date,
Sometimes.
I think it's a little presumptuous to on a first date be like, "Hey, I really want to take you to this Thai restaurant." You don't even know if they like Thai food.
unless
That's
you
not
found that out
presumption.
ahead of time.
You'll
you know?
find something that you like there.
What if they hate Thai
Something.
food?
But you could be like, hey, what kind of food do you like?
Yeah.
Oh, I like this, this, and this. Oh, I
Then-
know a really
I know
good
a really
Thai
great
place.
one.
Then
Yeah.
you say, "Have you ever
Yeah.
been here? I'd like to take you there."
But
There
what's
you
a
go.
red flag by saying like wherever you want to go? It's because they're trying to make you happy.
I
We're
do
just-
think that was where I tried to push back in that moment because it wasn't that I didn't care. It's that I didn't have enough of a desire to have my way that I felt like it should be trumped by what she felt.
You were also married at this point.
Right.
This is very early on
Yes.
in
Married
your
and,
relationship.
Matt's worried about his placemats that he didn't care about.
Yeah,
Didn't care.
Well, and the guy
Yeah.
did say that they're never making plans. It's not like it's like trying to decide plan. They're not even making.
Not
them.
even doing
And
it.
that's definitely right. I think I know Squid has seen that. I know I've seen that.
Yes.
Where people will even contact us back in the day or whenever, and like I want to go out with you, and you're like, oh, cool, and then trying to get them to do anything. It's like, well, that's a huge red flag.
And that's also that's the texting dating culture.
Yep, dating app,
now
yep.
is that it's like you get so comfortable in a texting only relationship, and I know because I've been there, that when you try to nail down a time to get together, it never seems to work.
Well, I think. I'm sorry.
Well, that's really frustrating
Yeah.
because it shows something's not right.
Are
And
there-
I think it is a lot of times, no offense to Jared and Squid, that when they finally get okay, they do want me. That's what they were looking for. They were looking for the validation.
That's
so
true.
they don't have to
Yeah.
go out with
Yeah,
you anymore.
sure.
Right, they
sure.
got
That's
it.
why you have to play the game back and keep them on their toes.
Or just ditch them completely because no one has time for that.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
No one has time for that.
There's this one person in particular that one of my friends went out with, and they went out and they had a great time, and they went out I think a couple times, and then she started being like, "Oh, I'm busy," or She would say specifically, "This is what I'm doing tonight," and then forget that she told him that, and then posting like selfies at 2 a.m. at some club, and he's like, "So how was it staying in last night with your kids?" And it's like, really, like, don't. I mean, if you don't want to go out, just say it.
Just say it.
We're freaking adults. Just say it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, what's the red flag number 4?
Number 4.
Number 4, he talks badly about his friends. He's the one freely choosing to hang out with these people, and if he's calling them idiots, well, 9 out of 10 times, he's going to be an idiot himself.
That is a
Birds
red
of a
flag.
feather flock
That is a red
together.
flag. I believe it or not, even though you guys come up because I do consider you guys friends, not Jason. No, Jason too. And I was like, I love them. I mean, they're so fun. And
Oh, I usually confirm what they're saying. Like, is Jared really a prick? I'm like, yep.
You nailed it.
People are like, "Oh, you're so funny."
we
Oh,
call
you
Jason the
guys.
projector. Yeah. Whatever he says you are, that's what he is. But that's fine. No, but I actually do that.
He
And
says,
with-
well, birds of a feather flock together. And it's true. If why would you spend your time with idiots?
Because they're not your family. You have to be with
You
them.
have to be with
I mean,
them.
you don't have to be with your friends.
You
but
choose your
You're right.
friends,
Yeah,
yeah.
But
exactly.
there's a fine line too of like just saying, I had this one guy, he does this. Oh, he's so stupid.
That's
Sure,
different.
it's different.
It's when it's the evilness and really trying to make them look bad, rather than just like I might go out and be like, oh my god, yeah, Squid, he is the slowest person on earth. I can never. But that's because it's a quality, or it's maybe not a quality, but
A
the
quirk.
opposite. That's kind
It's
of.
not a quirk. It's not. It's a
I'm
quirk.
different. I'm crazy.
No.
You're so wild. Even my friend Sal, like I will say, oh, if somehow we talk about different things, oh, I was out with my friend Sal. He's like the greatest friend. Like or my friend Jordan. He's the greatest friend. He'll do anything for. I love him. You know what I'm saying? And then and I've heard women say that where they'll be like, oh, my one girlfriend, she's nothing but drama, and they start bashing her. I'm like, I just met you and you hate your friends. Like,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
It's a red flag.
Yep. All right, red flag number 5.
And number 5, if you are open-minded and you like to grow as a person and you have ambition, and you start dating a man who has none of these traits, then you two will not work as a couple because you either grow together or you grow apart.
No matter how hard you try.
Yeah.
You're not going to be the one to change them. And
That's
that goes
true.
for men and women.
No, you cannot change. But if you listen to a lot of counselors or pastors or
I
other
don't know why you have to say it like that.
studies,
Yeah.
it does say, a healthy marriage is a choice. And a healthy relationship is a choice.
Yeah.
And it's how you evolve together and accept the different changes
But
moving forward.
Together. You both have to
Correct.
make that decision.
Together.
If you are, hey, let's go to counseling. Hey, let's try something new. Hey, let's work on this. And they're like, no, no, no. That's a really bad sign,
is.
especially early on in the relationship.
Yeah.
And it's hard to, because you, especially you're excited about someone, we all have done it. I've done it. People have probably done it with me. Is you overlook, especially if you become more aware as you get older, like, okay, these are red flags, but you're like, and then
Sure.
whatever the other things are.
Yeah.
And then I've been trying to now point out green flags, like that's a green flag. That's a green flag. Because there are some.
Yes, but
I
just
don't think you're good at putting those out.
I don't think you're good at finding those, if we're being honest.
Squid, are you have a girlfriend? Do you have a girlfriend?
No, I don't, because I see red flags.
He sees the red flags and then he steers the opposite
Do you have a
direction.
girlfriend? Yeah. No. All right then. No, I'm not. I didn't say that. I also ignore red flags.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I'm trying to have a positive mindset.
You
where-
ignore red stoplight.
Construction codes
Yeah, I
where they're
have.
like, don't go this
Like,
way.
but
Road is closed. I'm plowing through it.
But not for me.
Now, when she says she hates me, does that mean that that's a
The
beige
bridge is
flag?
out. I don't care.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to jump it.
I think it's a beige flag when they say they hate you, right?
Yeah, sure.
No, but my point is, I'm trying to not always think negative, like looking for all the red flags. Like, what are some?
yeah.
Oh, that's something they did. That's a good thing.
As long
that
as
it doesn't
you don't
supersede the red flags.
Right. As long as you're not like, but they have, I think, more green flags than red flags, because the red flags that matters big time.
And they're more powerful than the green flags.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately,
Yes.
they're more detrimental.
Do you think that Ben had any red flags before you got together? Was there anything like, oh, that's a red flag, and then you realize, okay, it's not?
I was a little concerned that he didn't have siblings,
Yeah.
because for me that was like, my family is my world, and we are so close, and it has proven to be a little bit of a challenge sometimes. Not as much anymore that we've been married for so long, but he didn't understand the dynamic,
Right.
because he could see that his friends or family or previous girlfriends or whatever had siblings, but then when you're married into that, they become your siblings.
Yeah.
And trying to find that path as an adult, it can be a little bit overwhelming and difficult. And I was worried about it, but it's okay.
And sometimes only children, not all, they're more likely to be selfish because why wouldn't they be? That's all they know is that everything's about them their whole life.
Well, that's true.
And that takes and that'd be hard. That can be hard for people to break. It's not their fault that their parents didn't have any more
But
kids.
Ben is not selfish unless it comes to golf and his own time.
That's right.
It comes for anything he wants to do.
He is so selfless and everything else.
And order whatever golf club he wants.
And it works for you guys. It's wonderful. Jason,
does.
besides Carol hiding that she had a human child that she birthed with someone else, was there any other red flags?
Well, I mean, it wasn't, the good news is it wasn't super long that she hid it. It was just like a couple times we hung out.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Yes, there was red flags. Are you kidding? Every aspect about the relationship. But,
Jason,
what? Not in a bad way.
channel your pastor.
Not in a bad way.
And that's okay.
Those flags are green flags when you see a hot blonde on a beer
All
cup.
right.
Oh yeah.
But
Okay.
no, and then there's certain things that I'm like just accepting. I feel as though, I tend to be more open about acceptance right away and to really figure out the real thing. You know what I'm saying? Because I think a lot of times there are all these red flags, and unfortunately somebody gets positioned that way when they're actually a good person.
Well, no, I think some people could have what people term as baggage. I don't think human beings are baggage, but that's what people say. That's not a red flag that you have a child.
No, but you
It's a red flag if you're keeping it.
But it could be. But
from you.
there will be people who won't want to be with you, but that doesn't mean that makes you a bad person.
No, but there are definitely red flags when it comes to a lot of other areas.
Okay.
That necessarily you would think, oh, maybe, well, this structure's not that good, and that tends to.
I see.
But not for everyone.
Right,
You know what I mean?
that's true. You got to take Jason. Do you think Carol saw any red flags in you?
No, not at all.
Probably, yeah.
Not in Jason. He's silly.
I'm, the fact that it's the fact that I have a girl that will oversee, no pun intended, my height.
Yeah.
Yeah,
is
true.
a big one. You know what I'm saying? To me, that was a red flag. Like, wait a minute, she knows.
You call it a red flag on yourself?
Yes. Like, wait a minute, she still likes me, and I'm this short. That's a red
He
flag.
threw the challenge flag.
There is something out here.
You should not be this into me.
Carol, do you realize how short I am?
You know, right? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a red flag.
All right.
When I have girls that I go on
Yeah.
a date with, and I was in the DJ booth, and she didn't know my height, and I show up for that lunch date, Jared. And I show up for the lunch date, and she looks at me when I knock on the door to get her in a look of utter disgust of how sick she is that I am this short. Yeah, it's a red flag when a girl likes me for my height.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's a red flag if anyone likes you for anything other than who you are. If they like you for your money, or they like you for
Right.
even if you like someone only for their looks, that's a red flag.
Because they're going to go away.
There is a price to be paid for that, for not being with someone you
100%.
want to be with, or someone you want to be with, but because you need something
But
from them.
you gotta, don't you think though? You have to, as a person, also like the fact that somebody's not perfect, because
Yes.
you have to be open to the fact that nobody's perfect.
You don't want to hold them to that standard because that's not fair. You wouldn't want to be held to that.
No,
There is no marriage and there's no family dynamic, in my opinion, that is perfect.
I
ever.
am with you.
I think there's none that are even close to being perfect, but are people that might be perfectly trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's our kumbaya moment.
Yeah.
Perfectly trying.
Yeah.
That's a Christmas carol.
Okay. What's happening? Yes, we say that, and I'll probably be divorced for the third time within a year or two. So
No,
whatever.
we're not going to allow the marriage.
That's true.
Don't worry.
The board is good.
Yep,
the board is good.
The bones are good.
If you're new to the show, there is a board that someone has to pass by for me to get engaged. Right?
I'm gonna move it back to dating.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
He's not listening to the
I'm
board
not gonna go on
anyway.
a first date with someone and like,
Okay,
hey,
fine.
Mom, Katie, my brother Abe, my brother Izzy, my therapist, official attorney Lisa Lanier. Here, this girl I'm going to go on a date with that I met on Hinge or whatever.
You can go on first, second, and third dates.
But relationships,
Fourth to relationship, board.
they need to meet at least somebody from the board, right?
Could have saved myself a lot of heartache.
100. Being a gangster. Katie is a gangster. Bro. It's true. Nothing that you said is wrong.
Yeah.